the truth of the matter, and you said it so well, Dr. Vibe, there are countless Black, African / Caribbean students, international students who are here in our cities who are struggling.
It's hard to know because we don't have like the data to say what is the state of Black health before and after. And that's something that we've been advocating for, right? We need better race-based data that's done in a way that serves us, because race-based data has been collected on different groups in ways that actually cause harm, but we need it to be done with us in a way that serves us.
What is up, everybody? Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, which we've been going on since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And we're broadcasting live on Black Canada Talking. It is August 4th, 2024. So August is here. It's a long weekend here in Toronto. Also Caravana weekend. Lots of things going around in the city. There's Caravana. Near to me, there's something called Rib Fest going on. There are food truck fest. Whole bunch of things. People getting their last. Summer's winding down slowly but surely. But we're here on Black Canada Talking, where Blacks provide their Black Canadians provide their POVs, thoughts, comments, and opinions on things that are happening locally, provincially, nationally, internationally, globally, etc., etc. And we are joined, and we should be joined in just a few moments by Cesar Ndema-Moussa, and he is here. So let's bring Cesar here, the man who loves the heat.
I do. Listen, my spouse loves the air conditioning, so you would be in the house. You wouldn't have a problem wearing a tracksuit or jogging suit as I'm doing. And free publicity, my friends. This one says, if you don't mind me getting up,
sure.
It's in my DNA. So I don't know if it can be properly seen, but a Pan-Africanist tracksuit. You know, when I wear it in public, people stare.
Yes.
But I'm okay with people staring, because there's always someone, sometimes white person, who comes and asks, where did you get it? You know, I want one for yesterday, a white woman said her husband, Black man, would love something like this. Where do you get it? So yeah.
Nice. Love it. What's been going on in your world?
Lots of work, and of course, paying attention to the politics. First of all, quick message just before I forgot. Congratulations, and I truly apologize. I'm just having a memory blank. We have a young Black brother who became first Black person to win a medal swimming at the Olympics. I'm forgetting his name. I'm just having a memory blank.
No worries.
Of course, congratulations to Simone Biles and the entire U.S. gymnastic team that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance would not approve of because it's too diverse. And I have to say this. Congratulations. I don't think many people know him in the Anglophone world, but LeBron James knows him. Congratulations to the French judo martial artist, the great champion Teddy Riner. I don't know. I'm trying to say it in English. This brother, he stands like I think he's actually taller than LeBron himself. He is in judo. This guy, like, you should see the. Actually, I'm saying congratulations to him. Congratulations to the whole team. You should look at the photo of the gold medal team in judo at the Olympics. Judo, Japanese martial arts, the gold medal champions, the All Blacks.
Wow.
The All Blacks. So congratulations to them and to so many others. But of course, my friends, brothers and sisters, and allies, we have to shine more than just in sports and music. Always. Yes. We must never forget that. Congrats, but
Yes, 100%, 100%. So have you been watching a lot of the Olympics?
100% no. It's and no, I really
Hey,
have
hey,
not been.
you and I are the same. I haven't watched one lick. Like once in a while, I'll check to see results. Like I just saw that Noah Lyles won the 100 meters
I missed that. Yeah.
in a photo finish. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sha'Carri Richardson lost in the 100-meter finals, and she had
Second, I think. Yeah.
Yes, she came second, and her two main opponents, Jamaican women sprinters, one Shelley Ann Price, for some reason didn't go into the semifinals, and there's still some controversy why she didn't go into the semifinals. And another Elaine, another one of her foes had an Achilles heel injury, so she didn't even show up at the Olympics. So it's been, I'm just hearing stories off and on. I haven't glued onto it at all because it's just it doesn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, it's not. I really wish I could have watched more. I mean, I'm proud of myself. I got to watch maybe 5-10 minutes of USA versus South Sudan in
Yes.
basketball.
Okay.
But truly, the Olympics, how can I put it? When I was a child, I used to watch a lot of it because my dad would force us to watch. And this is how I notably got to know about Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis back in 1988. Of course, I remember 1992, the Dream Team, and this was me, really like, a dream team. They brought Basketball International. And of course, congratulations to our brother. But I have to be a little bit nuanced here because I'm going to say to both of our brothers, even though they were rivals, Donovan Bailey and Michael Johnson back in 1996.
Yes,
96 and 97. But after that, to be honest with you, I can't tell you that I've watched half an hour of Olympics between 97 to today as we speak.
I'm probably the same, if not less than you. It just doesn't grab me. And, I got more important things to do. There's just more important things in my life than watching the Olympics. So, it's.
I just try, because of the importance notably sports has in our community, in our race, to be honest. But also, Olympics is the biggest sports event because it's so combined. But truly, it's the World Cup. But I try to stay informed of the controversies and the topics, such as that female boxer, who was very much slandered about being a man or being trans. Meanwhile, she is actually a woman with a higher level of test. But and this actually connects to our talking about Pan-Africanism and Black people. I'm really glad that despite all the controversy, the lies, the slandering, including, of course, by a certain Donald Trump, I'm happy that she found all that support, and I am here supporting her. However, I want to remind people that there was a Black woman from South Africa, I believe in 2008 or 2012, Casper Semenaya, something like that, very similar situation, and she had nothing close to the same amount of support. So let us never forget that many of our people go through such, and they never see the same type of coverage, the same type of support.
100%. Yeah, it's the Olympics just doesn't have, and also hosting them, the cost is just astronomical.
Ridiculous.
And money, that's to me, money could be well spent in other areas and places. That's just me, though. That's just me. I just think it could be better spent in other places. All right. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's do some stuff before we get into our first conversation topic. As always, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We have passed 1,500 subscribers. On our way to 1,600 subscribers. Cesar is part of that success. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. If you want to advertise your business product or service on the platform, please email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And also, Want to share a big shout out to Indie Suit Media, who is a supporter. They're an independent content creators network based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Why Fort Lauderdale, Florida? Because Dr. Tachi lives there, and she's the power behind Indie Suit Media. About 35 other content. It's a network of about online content. 35 independent content creators, been around for about 5 months. I provide a lot of content there in edited versions, and also I'm on the advisory board. And also in about 5.5 months, 15,000 YouTube subscribers. And this is one of the content, that's one of the shows that's on the network on a regular basis. So just want to say all of that. And also, too, I'm going to say it now and throughout, but also put in the comment section. If you want to get in contact with Cesar, there's his email address, president@rootsandculturecanada.com, and Facebook. There's his Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. And also, big shout. How is Ketcha Peters doing?
She's doing fine. She's doing fine. And actually, I was speaking with her just before I came with you. Roots and Culture, North-South Development Roots and Culture Canada, we are launching a French program for people to learn French, for our people to improve the bilingual skills. And, more information, just look us up, North-South Development Roots and Culture Canada. The info will be there.
Excellent. Good. Well, next time you do chat with her, because I know it'll be sooner rather than later, do tell her I said hello and hope she's doing fine, her and the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, he's done it again. 45 makes an appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, and it was fire. It was incredible. Typical, nothing surprising. Cesar, did you see any of it? And if whether you did or not, what are your thoughts?
I did.
Yeah, you took a breath. I did. Okay.
I did, but how can I put it? I think it was our brother, Reverend Al Sharpton. And first of all, let me just state this very much from the start. We don't have to agree with everything Reverend Al Sharpton says or has said in the past, but we cannot deny Reverend Al Sharpton cares and has been an advocate and a fighter for the Black cause for our brothers and sisters in the USA and beyond. So, because sometimes, there's criticism regarding Brother Al Sharpton, and I really want to make that clear. We don't have to disagree, but we can recognize a brother or a sister. And Reverend Al Sharpton did say Donald Trump did not go there as the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. They invite the two, for every presidential election, they invite the two candidates of each party. He didn't go there to truly bring forth programs and policies in terms of his platform/campaign. He went there to echo a message for his MAGA base. If you are to be truly honest, his white supremacist MAGA base. I was not surprised, personally, I was not surprised by Trump behavior, his language. It's classic Trump. It's not, whoever fell for the, for his rhetoric about surviving an assassination attempt and therefore it will change his rhetoric and he will be nice, is a fool. The man, no. We have to, we have to be honest here. I mean, now the oldest candidate for the position of president of the United States, him who was mocking Biden over it, now he's the oldest one. Clearly, the older you get, the harder it is to change. The older you get. And when you have someone like this man with his past, a man who is, he was accusing his former lawyer, Cohen, of being such a liar. Meanwhile, he is the GOAT, the greatest liar of all time. He lies constantly. He lies for a yes or no. He lies as other people breathe. You don't think about breathing. You don't consciously make an effort to breathe. I mean, hopefully, it's not the case for the vast majority of people. Donald Trump lies all the time, and as such, from the very start, first of all, the crowd, the environment he was in wasn't familiar. This was not a crowd full of, and I hope anyone can understand my language here, full of coons, such as Senator Tim Scott, aka blacks will pander to him and make him feel that he is the great white hope or Jesus sent to save black people. Absolutely not. He was confronted with a panel of three black female journalists, professionals, in brackets, uh, and it's not for me necessarily to criticize the organizer of the convention, notably Omarosa, but if they could put three black female journalists, they could have included a man, and that man could have been our brother Roland Martin. He definitely there should have been a man there.
Okay, hold on right there. You 45 would not appear if well, I wouldn't say highly doubt 45 would have come on, but Roland Martin was in the front row.
He was in the front row, but he wasn't on the stage, and that's what I mean. Yeah. I know he was there.
So before you go any further, what do you think of the optics of NABJ, first of all, inviting him? Was that a right or wrong thing to do?
Absolutely a right thing to do. Absolutely. This is not, we have to desensitize people to the phenomenon of Trump. And I say phenomenon because that's how he projects himself. He talks about being a self-made man. I invite people to look at how much he inherited from his father. I find it comical, ironic, and sad to see so many uneducated, poor or working poor white males identified to Donald Trump, aka a man who grew up with a silver spoon, draft dodger, a man who declared bankruptcies, I think 6 times, and yet still gets money lent to him by banks. And I mean, he has nothing in common with the common man, and even the common white man, and even the common rich white person. I mean, we're talking about Donald Trump here, and I mean, I'm going to repeat it all the time. He had to be invited, even despite his long history of racism. He had to be invited because he is one of the, he is basically the Republican nominee for the presidential election in November. But that still doesn't change the fact of the character of who this man is. Decades of racism against black people, decades of sexism, and including sexual assault slash rape. I know people will say there's a difference between one and the other, but something tells me that if that lady, and I'm having another memory blank here, that lady that he forced himself on in those washrooms, she wouldn't be far from saying that he raped her. This character, and I didn't even talk about being a fraudster, being an insurrectionist, and so many other things, being a thief also, because Mr. I will finance my campaign by myself in 2016, and yet only 20% of his campaign was self-funded, 80% by people sending money. That $5 or $10. Meanwhile, he can blow off $1 million, or maybe I should say $140,000 on a sex worker, pornographer, and claim that he didn't do it. Look, I have a lot of dislike for him. He represents white supremacy, but the Republican Party is, the self-claimed party of law and order and of religious slash moral values, has completely shown its hypocrisy and the fallacy of what it claims to be. Donald Trump is a of law order, morality, religion, etc., etc. I can go on and on. I can go on and on. So, yeah, he had to be invited, but he had to be confronted. And I'm not here saying the our sisters journalists on the stage didn't do a good job confronting him. They did right from the start, but they didn't confront him. They asked valid questions, questions to which this man, in typical fashion, tried to avoid, tried to escape, lie his way out of, and of course, insulting and attacking them. Typical Donald Trump. He has to be exposed further and further because this election 2024, and for anyone who wonders, no, I'm not here speaking for the Democrat Party. I'm not for the Democratic Party. Joe Biden didn't pay me. I'm not. No, that has nothing to do with that. But this man, at the very core, is the representation of what we talk about in terms of white privilege, in terms of white supremacy, in terms of narcissism, in terms of, listen, any of us who would do 1/10 of the things that this man has done would be in jail a long time ago. If he was a black man, notably Barack Obama, who had refused losing his elections, he wouldn't have been a free man on January 7th. He would have been arrested at the end of the day or night on January 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yet Donald Trump still has never seen jail despite truly decades of frauding and the nature of his comments. And the latest reports actually shows that um, I'm having such a terrible memory blank here, but the former senator from New Jersey, if I'm correct,
Chris
who has
Cuomo.
been, sorry?
Chris Cuomo.
No, not him.
No, Cuomo. No, Chris Cuomo. I know they got Chris Christie.
Menendez. No, Menendez.
Menendez.
Bob
Okay,
Menendez.
Bob Menendez, who was convicted a few weeks ago, him and his wife.
There you go. Because of what? Because of basically not fraud, but basically corruption, as
Yeah.
they receive gifts and monies coming from where? From Egypt. Well, it turns out someone, aka Donald Trump, has also received an amount of $10 million from the Egyptian government. This has been revealed by the Washington Post, and it goes back to the same timing when Trump is bragging about putting $10 million in his campaign. Turns out the money was coming from Egypt, and further turns out that Trump, around that time, was talking about Al-Sisi as his favorite dictator. This, like, he has to be. Occasions like this have to be presented for people to see Trump for who he is truly. And this is also a message for our Black brothers and sisters who would like to claim being conservative or Republicans and really chucking and jiving to find any excuses to the behavior of Trump. This is the person you're supporting. If he was black, he'd be in jail a long time ago, and you all know it. You all know it. I mean, I laugh when I see so-called conservative / Republican brothers and sisters defending Trump, fully knowing that those MAGA people will never accept them, will never see them as equal. As long as they stay in their place, if they stay in their lane, they can be tolerated. It's the same as what's his name? That terrible VP pick that Trump took, JD Vance. His wife at the Republican convention, going there to speak, his Indian wife, and is clearly indicated practicing Hindu. I was like, you will never be accepted. You think such biracial kids will never be accepted. And yet you have this guy talking like, no.
Let me go further in regards. You did mention about why do you think it may have been a good idea to have a black male on that panel?
Actually, look, let us be honest. There is misogyny in the black community. There are black people, notably black men, who will twist and turn and find any possible reason not to support a black woman as Kamala Harris. And yes, they will come forward and claim policies or her past as a prosecutor. No, 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 no. Let us be frank and honest between us as men. There are men who will never support a woman. Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, um, I don't want to say Connie Chung. I don't think that's her name, the mayor of Toronto. Uh, so you're
Olivia,
mute.
Olivia Chow.
Olivia Chow, yes, the widow of Jack Layton. There,
Correct.
there are men who will never support a woman, notably a woman of the community. It's important, therefore, strategically speaking, that you also do have representation of men on the stage. You imagine if it was the other way around, if it was Nikki Haley who was the Republican nominee, and she came to the National Association of Black Journalists and she was confronted with three black male journalists. The optics will be terrible. So we need to, and this is part of talking about the whole equity and diversity and also inclusivity, because Brother Roland Martin, far from being a pit bull, but Brother Roland Martin is a professional of many years who can have angles and optics and be able to bring that conversation, because it's also very important to mention this. Donald Trump, I truly think, has a visceral hatred of black women. I don't want people to come talk about, oh, but no, Cesar, what are you talking about? He had Omarosa in his cabinet. Omarosa flipped on him. Omarosa is clearly talking on, how do you call that, on CNN and I don't know, other MSNBC left-wing networks about how to defeat Trump. But Donald Trump, how did he talk about Fannie Lewis? How did he talk about another memory blank here?
Well,
the attorney general in New York, the lady, the one who was,
Letitia
James. How is Donald Trump talking about Kamala Harris? Oh yes, of course he talked about Hillary Clinton, but Donald Trump has decades of racism and sexism in his history, which can be concentrated and seen through the way he views black women. The very notion, this is a man who cannot accept defeat. Such men have an even harder time accepting defeat from a woman. Imagine this white silver spoon fed man imagining defeat. It was hard enough for him to imagine defeat by Joe Biden. In his own words, back in 2020, he couldn't believe that he lost. So he knew he lost. The fans of him thinking election for they're fools. And then you have a black woman, the perspective of losing to a black woman. This man will start a civil war before he accepts that he lost. So yes, we need to have also a black man, because we need to hear the voice of black men, as it is also proven, and the Republicans have admitted it. They are aiming at black men to increase in voting for the Republicans by playing and hatred of Democrats, but also gender dynamics in the black community, aka it's the black women who are getting all the attention of the Democrats. This black woman will save Biden in 2020. It is true, but there was that Zoom call that had how many black men for Kamala Harris, among other Zoom calls. Black women for Kamala Harris, white men for Kamala Harris, white women for Kamala Harris, and Pacific Islanders, and I think Latinos or Native Americans, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation part too. Want to go back. Another commentator said, with NABJ putting out 3 black female reporters, it looked like that black men, it almost feminized black men. It just showed that there's not capable black male reporters out there that could have been put on the stage. It just didn't give a good overall look of blackness. Your thoughts?
Now, I wouldn't agree with that. And the reason I say this is because how many times have there only been black males and simply males, period, on a stage, despite the issues being addressed, notably concerned women? Have to recognize we can celebrate the successes of our sisters and keep supporting them while being able to bring an objective criticism, constructive criticism to the fact that there should have been a black man on the stage without extrapolating to the fact of, to the claim, sorry, extrapolating to the claim that the lack of a black male journalist meant the effeminization of black men and etc. That is absolutely not true. I'm sure if one of the ladies on the stage would have said that she can't do it or called sick or for whatever reason, Brother Roland Martin would have been ready to get on the stage just as any brother. I'm sure Dr. Vibe, if you were there at the event in Chicago and you would have been asked to be on the panel, or if there was, let's say, some international journalists invited and Dr. Vibe is there, you would have been up to the par and delivered properly, you see. So I don't think we should extrapolate to further play into that gender divide in the black community. No, it's a strategic error, I dare to say. But overall, the organization was very good, and of course, Trump being Trump, you could have had one black female, you could have had 10, and all type of diversity. Trump would still have been Trump. He stole the show, as he likes to put it.
Yeah, that's his way. Now, we can go one of two ways going forward. We can go to a break and go to our next conversation topic, or we can show an article that was written on Axios about five explosive moments from 45's experience in NABJ. Which way you want to go?
Let's show the article. I think.
Okay, so let's do it. So I'll put the article up, and any sort of commentary you want to add to it. I will read from the article. It was in Axios. It's titled 5 Explosive Moments from 45's Off the Rails NABJ Interview. So I'll read what they said after the interview, but 45, we're going to talk a little bit more about Kamala Harris and race after, but he attacked her on her race and saying that she's a DEI candidate because of her race in general rather than her merits. and he also said, quote, she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. Quote, he said, quote, I don't know if she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black. And then he said, I don't know. Is she Indian or is she black? He asked, seemingly questioning the ability of the first black and American Asian vice president to share both Indian and black identities. And so what were your thoughts? I know we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, but just
we can wait for that segment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so let's go here. He said he would, quote, absolutely unquote, or he absolutely, quote unquote, pardon January 6 rioters. He said the
so-called party of law and order.
He said, quote, how come people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? He questioned, pointing out to recent DC protests against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and congressional address, which led to several arrests. He said, asked about videos from that day that depict officers who responded to the attack being beaten and dragged down the stairs of the Capitol. He said, quote, they shot a young lady in the face who was protesting, unquote, referring to the deadly shooting of Ashley Babbitt. 45 that falsely claimed
her own family had an interview in which they said she shouldn't have been there. Her own family.
Yeah. 45 falsely claimed that, quote, no one died, unquote, right after referencing Babbitt shooting. He also echoed a conspiracy theory about the Capitol attack, saying officers, quote, were ushering rioters into the building. Thoughts on that commentary, on that there?
I think people have to seriously consider Donald Trump having a cognitive test along a morality test in terms of um, the Ten Commandments regarding notably lying, he would fail.
Okay. Another here. 45 downplays VP importance in the wake of J.D. Vance criticism. J.D. Vance's pick as vice president. He said, quote, well, 45 said, it is, quote, well documented historically, the vice president in terms of election does not have any impact, unquote, amid mounting backlash over its own number 2 pick's comments about women and family. Quote, he said he contended, quote, 2 or 3 days, unquote, the excitement over a running mate dies down and it's all about, quote, all about the presidential pick, unquote. And then he said he thinks that his vice president candidate, J.D. Vance, is, quote, unstanding, unquote, but added, quote, you're voting for me, unquote. And this article says, yes, allies of the former president hope that the Rust Belt native would bolster the former president's support in key states. Any comments there?
Well, he is technically relatively right. He's technically right in terms of, it's a presidential election. You're voting for the person to become president, whether you like him and therefore you vote for him, or you don't and you don't vote for him. But where he is wrong is, and this is, of course, he doesn't really have a choice. This is a man who cannot suffer to admit being wrong and admit his error, is that his VP pick is doing so poorly. And as such, when he notably criticized Kamala Harris as an ADI hire, what else is JD Vance? JD Vance is an ADI hire for the average/poor white male in terms of JD Vance background. Meanwhile, JD Vance became rich, became a senator, a complete contradiction. And of course, he is often mentioned by his critics as being fake. So, the vice presidential pick, from what I heard, you have to really go back to 1963 with LBJ to see that it is important who you take as a vice presidential pick, because that person could become president. And in the case of Donald Trump, considering his presidential style, aka a man who does not even read his presidential bullets in the morning, this is a man who also is the oldest candidate to become president, aka J.D. Vance, if Trump was elected, or whoever would be the VP pick, is basically a heartbeat away. And we also saw, borderline, a bullet away from becoming the president. So the issue is truly that it is becoming clear that J.D. Vance past comments, including on Trump, whom he associated to the Hitler of America or etc., such comments, J.D. Vance's past comments are coming to haunt him and are being quite a distraction to his campaign, along being unable to have a coherent message to address Kamala Harris.
Okay. Next up, and we're going to be getting to this story a little bit more after the break. 45 gives little detail on police immunity proposal. The former president said the officer who killed Sonya Massey, an unarmed 36-year-old woman who was fatally shot in her home in Illinois after calling 911 early in July, quote, might not, unquote, receive immunity when asked about his campaign proposal to give police officers immunity from prosecution. He said, quote, it depends, unquote. He said when an officer would be granted immunity, arguing he was referencing to, quote, much different, unquote, cases. 45 said he did not know the exact case when asked about Massey, but saw something that didn't look good. He said, didn't look good to me, unquote. So it's very interesting that, when he said sometimes, quote, very bad decisions, unquote, are made, but from an quote, evil standpoint. He said when asked about details of his pledge, he said, quote, there's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
And what was the last one that they gave? The number 5?
You're just laughing. You're not even responding to that. Okay.
No, because listen, this is a man who basically went to the Supreme Court to get immunity. How unsurprising would it be that he gives borderline immunity to police for misbehavior? Trump is a populist. He will say anything and whatever, no matter the contradictions. He has shown it so many times. And when it comes to police, if it looks good for him, and notably, he's attacking Kamala Harris regarding defunding the police, right? Regarding supporting Black Lives Matter. No, this is exactly what Trump is.
Okay, and then finally, he references black jobs. During the presidential debate in June that prompted widespread calls for President Biden to exit the 2024 race, 45 said immigrants were taking, quote, black jobs, unquote, a statement that has prompted a question, what is, quote, a black job? When asked the question during the Wednesday event, he said, quote, a black job is anybody that has a job, unquote. He says, they're, quote, they're taking the employment away from black people, unquote. He basically claimed of immigrants. The other side, Biden slammed Trump 45 over the comment earlier this month, saying to a crowd at the NAACP event, quote, folks, I know what a black job is. It's the vice president of the United States, unquote. Do you see, and this seems to be going back to, and I'm not on either side, but a Republican old thing, race baiting, one race versus another race.
Oh yeah. I did know. This is cliche xenophobia on the migrants. This is cliche, playing race politics the conservative and right wing way, far right way, I should say. But this is so hypocritical because, of course, we know how the rhetoric goes to poor whites. It's to poor whites. It is painted as you got to feed those black people, and the civil rights demand, the Black Lives Matter demands, the EDI demands. So no, it's just typical. I lack a program. I don't truly have a program. I don't really know the issues, but hey, let me give you further dose of racism, xenophobia, and try to, get you to fight against another minority. Don't get me wrong. This is not to say that immigration must not be addressed, border security, etc. Of course, it must be. But what someone like Trump does is that he incites hatred, the type of hatred that led to, I think it was 28 Latinos being murdered in Texas by one of those white supremacists, if I recall correctly. It's the same type of rhetoric that basically fuel white male supremacists to go kill a young lady, an ally, in Charlottesville in 2016. It's the same type of rhetoric that leads to a young white man, Darren Roof, to go into a black church, and despite admitting himself that he was well treated, well received, he ends up killing 9 people. That's what Donald Trump does. He's an agent of chaos, and he propagates he propagates hate in order to advance himself. He's not even a Republican, and more Republicans are coming out saying it. The man is not a Republican. The man is an opportunist, and narcissist who found a party in which he could get away with certain types of behaviors. That's all it is. And yet Trump has a long history of donation to the Democratic Party.
Yes, and even at one time donating to Ms. Harris, and she actually has they have a copy of that document. So, but before we move to break time, do you think we'll see a debate between both of them?
Well, from what I last heard, it's that Trump claimed that an agreement has been reached for a September, I believe, 4th debate on Fox News in front of a live audience in Pennsylvania. And if I were part of the Kamala Harris team, I would decline, because this is not a debate that Trump is trying to do. Trump is trying to have a show. That's where he feels at ease. It's kind of like, no disrespect, but it's like taking a bodybuilder in a library. doesn't mean that a bodybuilder can't be smart, but a bodybuilder environment is in the gym. It's not the library. Just like you don't take the librarian in the gym and expect them to perform amazing feats. You see what I mean? So Trump needs a show. He's an entertainer. This is, as I told you last time, the great modern day philosopher, aka Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, said it. You wanted an entertainer president, you got it. And that's what Trump does. He turns everything into entertainment. The racism, sexism, the bigotry, the homophobia, the mocking, the veterans, the disabled, the migrants, turns it into an entertainment because that's what his base loves. That's how they communicate at a low level. And that's why he also gets, despite all his comments, he gets women will support Trump. I mean, the man is a rapist. He gets blacks will support Trump. This is a man who called for the lifetime jailing of the, Central Park / exonerated five. He gets basically Middle Easterners, Arabs who will support Trump, despite his very racist comments against people from the Middle East, because he taps into a core of angry, uneducated, dissatisfied, very biased, non-objective people who are looking at something to be angry about. He basically becomes like, just look at what he did, and just look at what he did as Biden basically got Americans freed, and this man goes to congratulate Putin. It speaks to you to the character of the person.
Okay. All right. And well, the funny thing is, Harris is saying, no, we're going to be there on September 10th, the date that was scheduled for him and President Biden at 45. I think the key thing, if they debate, if Ms. Harris wants to get anywhere, she has to have fact checking during that.
You have to have. This man is such a liar. You listen. The thing that makes me laugh is the hypocrisy of people who support him. I know people who support him, and I have to say this: white, aka of this European descent, Arabic, Jewish, Aryan. I know whites will support him. I also know blacks will support him. Latinos will support him. I know religious people will support Trump. The great hypocrisy of all these people, you know what it is? I know these people would not support to have a friend like Donald Trump or a family member like Donald Trump into their own homes. I know it because they know he lies. They know all the things that he does wrong. They just literally bend backward and frontward and do all these gymnastics because it's a reflection of their own character. That's what it is. They hear me. They hear me. They
All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the police murder of Sonya Massey, which is, well, we'll just leave it at that. So we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be right back on Primetime Saturday with Dr. Vibe and my dear friend Cesar. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
But you still got to give him the respect that he has been doing this a long time.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Nobody's talking about that. Aisha, that's pretty powerful.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, we're back. Primetime Saturdays with Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key. Saturday evenings, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. If you have some time, check it out where they try to make the sense of the nonsense in American news and politics. Next up, our next conversation piece, the police murder of Sonya Massey. I will let you do this one and go for it, Cesar.
I don't want to stress too much on the details of it because I don't want to lose people. I want to make sure that people do understand this is beyond our sister Sonya Massey. It's beyond Illinois. It's beyond the USA. This is a reminder to each and every Black person. Although it does say indeed to serve and protect, and absolutely yes, there are good cops. There are good cops. There are notably good white cops. We must never forget that indeed police does kill. And not only police does kill, police disproportionately kills Black people. Police disproportionately kills Black men. Police disproportionately kill people with mental health issues. Just as police disproportionately kills people in lower socioeconomic status. There is an intersectionality of identities involved in what we must call the murder of Sonya Massey at the hands of police. I mean, this is the same police that lies in regards to the circumstances to which her death came until a video appeared clearly showing a contradiction between their narrative and what the video showed. 4 years after George Floyd, but we must not forget also Sandra Bland. We must not forget our sister. I was going to say Tiana Taylor. I apologize if I'm using the wrong name. Shot in her bed.
Breonna
Taylor, yes. I think Tiana Taylor is some entertainer, maybe. But this is a reminder to all of our Black people about how you call for help, the police, or police is called for help, and you end up being killed. As you are in Toronto, Dr. Vibe, you may recall the fate that befell our sister, Regis Korchinski-Paquet. Black woman, mental health, police called, she dies. Right here in Ottawa, 2016, Abdirahman Abdi. Black man, mental health, police called, he dies. So, even as I am not one to say all police are bad, because I remind people when it's midnight or 2 in the morning or even 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., something happens, the neighbor is not going to risk dying to save you and your family when they have their own family. However, we must not be blind to the reality that police does kill. So I just wanted for I wanted to have how do you call that an acknowledgement of the life of this lady, this Black woman who could have been looks like any of our sisters, any of our family members. We have someone who looks like Sonya Massey, just as we have someone who looks like George Floyd, just as we have someone who looks like Abdirahman Abdi, who looks like Solomon Teka in Israel, Adama Traoré in France. I can go on and give many names. But the circumstances to the death, I mean, it reminds me of Claudia Ferreira Pereira. I think I said the name right. Black woman in Brazil who was killed by police despite being a married mother. I can't remember the number of children she had, but she had a couple of children. She was killed by police and her body was dragged through the back of a police van, dangling on the highway. The inhumanity involved in the deaths and killings of Black people, which literally is still baffling to hear some people doubt that police in the Americas is the legacy from slave catchers, and yet we see the same type of follow-up mentality in terms of an institution. And having having being a consultant to address police. I say this further because it starts at the very beginning. And the beginning, I'm not talking about the police academy. I'm talking about high school. I'm talking about elementary school. I'm talking about the culture. I'm talking about how Black people are dehumanized, and as such, making it easier that even as the adults, even they are in the so-called safety of the home, a call to police to serve and protect. I mean, imagine this: you call to be helped, and the help kills you. So I don't give thoughts and prayers, but my solidarity to the family of Mrs. Sonya Massey, just as to all of our brothers and sisters unjustly killed by police violence. And I say killed, we have to say murdered, because George Floyd, as I remind people, George Floyd is a tree that hides a huge forest.
I'm showing on the screen here for people who are watching this live on the replay an article in regards to this event saying Illinois sheriff whose deputy killed Sonya Massey apologizes. I offer up no excuses. What do you say to that response to the sheriff whose deputy killed Sonya Massey?
How honest you want me to be, Dr. Vibe?
It's up to you.
To people watching and listening to this, as Dr. Vibe asked me this question, and I asked how honest he wants me to be, and Dr. Vibe knows me to always be straightforward, direct, and honest. Please look up to know if there's a death penalty in Illinois, because this is really how honest I can be. I mean, what? Because this person is a deputy, they can't face the death penalty when clearly it was murder? Oh, yes, you're going to say there was no intent. How was there no intent? At what moment was their life in vital danger, life-threatening situation? If this was a Black person, forget deputy, in a state where there's a death sentence, would we doubt that this Black person might be on death row? Let's be honest here. Let us dare to be honest. And we're talking here, this is not like it was like this one deputy with Mrs. Sonya Massey and he killed her. No. No, he was accompanied.
So just to interrupt you, the death penalty was abolished in Illinois back in 2011.
Yeah, but that's how honest I am. If he was there, because the problem is this: it takes only a moment to kill someone. And yes, white people also get killed by police. That is not even in question here. It takes only a moment to kill someone who didn't deserve to die. And here we have a woman who called police to serve and protect. And yet we fumble and go on for months and years in terms of the treatment that should be given to the culprit, to the guilty person, to the murderer. Because that's what it is. That's what it is. And this is why, notably in Black communities, there's no trust of the police. That blue badge gives a lot of protection. Meanwhile, if you didn't have that badge, and if this was a Black man who murdered this woman, we all know what would have happened. This is the same conversation as when I was saying earlier. If January 6th had been committed by a certain Barack Obama, I don't think there's a Black person in the world who has any doubt that January 7th, he would have been in jail. What is it? Almost 5 years later, how many days in jail has Donald Trump spent since January 6th? Sorry, January 6th, 2021. Close to 4 years. Not a day in jail. If he was a Black person, notably Obama, on January 7th, nobody doubts he would have been in jail. So this is the same thing here. Like it's just a reminder for our black people that you know you are still seen, because we have too many black people who like to fool themselves that integration is the answer to everything and everything is good because they either live in a nice neighborhood, drive a nice car, or have a white wife or non-black wife, whatever. Nah, nah.
Okay, we're gonna take another quick break, and Cesar is segueing nicely into our next conversation piece. Before we get there, Dr. Tachi says, "Good evening, the power behind Indie Soup Media
Good
TV.
evening.
Good to have her as always." And as I said, when we come back, we'll be talking about the question blackness of Kamala Harris. So Cesar has done beautiful of just segueing into our next conversation piece. We're going to take a really quick break and we'll be right back with that conversation piece. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
People are expecting Obama-level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
There's no way that Trump is going to debate her.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, we're back on Black Canada Talking. Sunday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We are joined by Cesar Ndema-Moussa. And our last conversation topic today, which a 45 raised last week. And it's funny about the whole race thing. The leader of the House of Representatives in the United States, Mike Johnson, a few weeks ago said Republicans should not be hitting on the race issue since Kamala Harris is now going to be the presumptive candidate. What have they gone back to? Or what has 45 gone back to? So I'd be very interested to see how he's reacting to that. So let's talk about the question blackness of Kamala Harris. Cesar?
Listen, Donald Trump can't help himself. And of course he can't help himself. This is the very representation of white supremacy in terms of when has he ever been held accountable for his behavior. This is a man who keeps claiming election fraud. This is a man who, beyond birtherism for Obama, has literally decades of anti-black racism. Donald Trump fans will claim, yeah, but that's not true. He hires black people. Since when a white racist person will not hire black people if it advantages them, if it's in their interest? This man has a history of such behavior. So I give you a good example here, if you don't mind, as I'm talking about Kamala Harris. Was it yesterday it came out that Kamala Harris' husband, Doug Hemloff, I believe.
Imhoff, I think it's Imhoff.
Okay. Apologies if I said it wrong.
No problem.
Turns out that he had cheated on his first wife. Okay, no problem. Things can happen. They worked it out as a couple, etc. is the story. So this is coming out as something either the Republicans would want to use, aka the party that likes to claim to be about law, order, and morality. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has, of course, I've never met Donald Trump, so I've never been in the privacy of Donald Trump, but from what we read and we hear, Donald Trump has cheated on all three of his wives. He has 5 kids by 3 different women. In the black community, this would be called ghetto behavior. Let's be honest, it would be called ghetto behavior. And yet, the Republicans want to morally judge the husband of Kamala Harris. This is the same thing where, and this is where it relates to the blackness of Kamala Harris. Who is this white man to question the blackness of a black person when himself, Donald Trump, used to claim to be Swedish? He used to claim to be Swedish at a time when he thought admitting that his roots are German and Irish would not look the best in terms of the American mainstream entertainment and politics. We'll reveal this. Omarosa, former black woman. So this is kind of like, listen, I don't need to watch those, I'll call them brains BCKs, those TV shows, Love Island. I'm giving names here. No hatred towards them, but they're
reality shows.
yes, reality. No, I don't need to watch them. I watch politics. I watch American politics, French politics. Maybe it's good for us that Canadian politics is not that dramatic. People say it's boring, but it keeps the country more stable than others. But no, this was revealed by Omarosa that Trump used to claim to be of Swedish descent when he's actually German and Irish. But who is this white person? And even myself, I had to confront some people, non-black people, questioning the blackness of Kamala Harris, questioning her value as a black woman and a professional. Who are they? Their nerves, as we say in the black community, the caucasity of them to even dare to question. Donald Trump is no reference to question anyone's blackness. He has people like Tim Scott will pander to him. And notice he didn't even consider Tim Scott to be VP. So he basically has surrounded himself with Django Unchained, right? So those type of black people around him. Remember the black pastors who went to the White House to put their hands on Trump, aka White Jesus. Ben Carson, many people wondered what's wrong with Ben Carson going to support a man who wants to bring forth policies that would have worked against his own mother. People like Kanye West going to support a Donald Trump who absolutely has complete disregard for the kids that were Kanye West. So no, Donald Trump has no eligibility to question the blackness of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, and I'm not here to defend her blackness. I'm black, she's black. Her father's Jamaican. If you question, so this is something that I tell some of our black people, as you can see behind me. If one is questioning the blackness of Kamala Harris, are they questioning the blackness of Bob Marley? Are they questioning the blackness of Barack Obama? Are they questioning the blackness of Jerry Rawlings, former president of Ghana? We have so many leaders in the black race who are mixed. And yes, mixed, biracial, half white or half Asian, whatever you want to put it. But let us be real. In this world, this is not just America, the one drop rule type of thing. This is truly a reflection of the world. Naomi Osaka is mixed.
Tennis player. Yep.
Tennis player, they consider her black. Victor Wembanyama, the 7'4" phenom in the NBA. His mother is white. He's considered black. So many examples that we can give. Kamala Harris, from what I found out, her father used to take her to civil rights protests when she was in the cradle, when she was a baby. Going to an HBCU does not mean that you're black, because there are white people and other non-blacks who attend HBCUs. But it's a strong indicator that you might indeed acknowledge your blackness, notably when you join a black sorority group. People want to criticize her regarding some of her stance regarding prisoners, etc. Yeah, she was a persecutor. How surprising of that. She also did work on prison reform, from what I understood. And at the same time, What is wrong with being Indian and black? For those who do not know, there are more and more Indians in India who are starting to wake up to the fact that they are black. The fact that they may have hair like Aryans, aka white people, does not make them less black, because notably you go to certain like Eastern Africa, Ethiopia, Somalia, you will find darker skinned people than me and you, Dr. Vibe, who do have hair like Arabs, like white Indians. So no, Donald Trump is just an agent of chaos. He will say anything and whatever, it's kind of like adults, rational and emotional sound, or emotionally and rationally sound professionals. You ask a question, the answer, like, it makes sense. The conversation has to make sense. Donald Trump, anything and everything, and he will go left field and right field. It's a distraction. It's a cow technique. It's like right now, me and you talking here, and then I start talking about anime, or I start talking about something that absolutely makes no sense and is unconnected, or I say, that's what Donald Trump does. And that's why he was not prepared, not only for Joe Biden to withdraw and be replaced by Kamala Harris, who I truly think he fears her. Like the campaign says, the prosecutor versus the felon. He knows, because these are facts. Everybody knows this. This is not something that she needs to make up. And at the same time, he wasn't prepared to come on that stage with 3 black female journalists and a black crowd looking at him. It's just a tactic for his MAGA white supremacist fan base.
All right.
Indicated as well. Let's mention that.
Cesar's number one fan is in the house. Michelle Baptiste says, good evening. Dr. Tachi.
Good evening.
Dr. Tachi says, some of our people questioned the blackness of Barack Obama. She also says the reality is most African Americans are multiracial, so the argument is null and void. And Michelle says, I could listen to Cesar for hours. There you go. But
thank you. I am honored.
Yeah, and it seems that he's going 45 is going back to what he was saying about Barack Obama, which he never was able to. And has he like how much can he go to that well and be successful with it?
Well, because you see, you got to understand the man. So let me give you here, as we're speaking about the elections that will occur. And I'm not even going to take credit for what I'm going to say. It's a white man, one of my neighbors. He was a cop in the US. And he basically put it like this: Trump and the Republicans have literally corrupted the US justice system to the point where he thinks, so this is not coming from me, he thinks what would happen is that even if they lose the election, they have so much doubt that they could take this to the Electoral College, if not to the Supreme Court, to try to steal the elections. Because that's what Republicans have been doing. I think the study said, statistics said that since the year 2000 or maybe 2004, Republicans have not won presidential elections by majority of votes. So if the US elections were with the same system as we have in Canada, as we have in France, for example, where basically you win by having 50.1% of votes and more, if that was the case, the Republicans would have been out of power since at least the year 2000 or 2004. They haven't won a presidential election by majority of votes since. So they're always working on ways to politicize the votes, aka steal the votes, aka restrict the vote. So instead of enlarging the pool of people who can vote, to restrict it. But notice something that happened. The most conservative people in the US tend to be senior citizens. Well, not just in the US, in the Western world, pretty much in the world. The most conservative people tend to be senior citizen, and in the case of the US, you also have white evangelicals. Yet the population does not grow as much as young people will come into age to vote. And here, that population keeps exploding along. Newcomers and immigrants will become American citizens. So here, someone like Trump has to bring this type of rhetoric, because even if he was to lose, and even if he can't seal the election, he is basically cementing the MAGA ideology to keep growing like a cancer in the body. And this is part of the reason why. So people are wondering, why did he take VP J.D. Vance as VP J.D. Vance? Because from what has been said, J.D. Vance is even more MAGA than Trump himself. And as such is to continue that movement. So Donald Trump is a cancer to American politics and society, but hey, it's also people's fault. They've been enjoying him since the 80s. They've been enjoying him since the 80s, and now they're seeing the monster that they created. You can't just blame Donald Trump's parents for why he turned out like. The man has been a public figure for at least 40 years. I think actually since the late 70s, if I'm correct, notably housing discrimination, etc., etc. So this man, this person, this untrained politician, this populist celebrity, relative billionaire. I'm saying relative because he loses a lot of money. His true social platform has lost, I can't remember the number, but over $1 billion since the arrival of Kamala Harris. And again, he has filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So that kind of tells you. But no, Donald Trump is not a man who will accept defeat. And as such, anything and everything is good to say for him to save his neck. Because, and this is the last thing I will say, and I remind this to our brothers and sisters who are tempted to vote for Trump or will have sympathies for Trump, you have to understand the bigger picture. The bigger picture, Joe Biden, saving the democracy and all that. Yes, absolutely. But for Trump, the bigger picture is very simple. If he doesn't win, those lawsuits are back on the front page news and he risks jail time. It's not complicated. So when you see someone like, even as we were talking last time, that judge, I think in Florida, Aileen Cannon, for the document files, she's banking her career and potentially her life on Donald Trump winning, because if he loses, not only will she likely lose her career, but she might face jail time for such blatant bias / corruption, along others such as the Justice Thomas and
oh boy,
Judge Alito. Yes, this is really what it is, because you have people who are so heavily invested in there. I mean, on the other side, you have Democrats and anti-Trump people who are clearly saying if Trump wins, they're moving to Canada. That gives you a taste of where the dynamics are.
Absolutely. Well, Cesar, we're going to end it up here today. Thank you, as always, to share.
Thank you always for having me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. What do you have coming up? What are you working on over the next little bit?
Well, I have, I've taken a week of vacation, but of course, I'll be working on things. No. I have work. I'll be advancing some work that I'm doing. That's basically it, working from home. But yeah, it would be great to take some time to be with family and to address some family issues and also work issues and keep moving forward.
Excellent. Well, as always, my brother, to you and your family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. Take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vav. Thank you, family. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone, that Cesar is out. There is his contact information. It is in the comment section on the platforms you're watching the replay, but I will say it also. Email president@rootsandculturecanada.com. There's a Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. So that is that. Some other house things to clean up here today. So let's do this. First things first, as always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We have passed 1,500 subscribers. Let's get to 1,600. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of. Please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. That's it. And you can watch replays of the Dr. Vibe Show on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and on my website, the drvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to get a hold of me, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram, at the drvibeshow, and x/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. All right, family, that is a wrap. Excuse me. Thank you. As always, we close out with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. Got this cough. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. And in honor of one of my great elders, Dr. Louis March. I call him Dr. Louis March. Or as I say, Dr. March. Keep fighting. Chat with you soon. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good.